Chapter 3868. Fifth More. Jian Wushuang's idea is very good, and the 100,000-year deadline is not high. In fact, for most powerful people in the universe, they cannot accept the imprint of the other person at the origin of their soul. Because that's all about giving your life and death to the other party's control. Naturally, you don't dare to violate the orders of the other party. Although Jian Wushuang's promise is only 100,000 years, what if he kept it? The imprint of the soul has been left, even if Jian Wushuang has been trending in the endless years in the future. They also dare not resist. These prisoners prefer to stay in the eternal dark prison compared to this kind of day that is completely controlled by the other party. Even if there is no day and no madness here, even they would rather die than want to be like this puppet. Moreover, there is another most important reason, which is the identity and strength of Jian Wushuang. If Jian Wushuang is a real strongman, don't be strong, as long as there are 10 kings in the first space, they have absolute strength to crush all prisoners, and then persecute the other to surrender. These prisoners are also willing, after all, they was convinced by the opponent's strength. However, sword warriors are different. Sword warriors' own strength is not much stronger than that of the wing master. They only rely on the tokens of the disciples of Hongyun to suppress the other party. This will not convince the other party, and the prisoners in this eternal dark prison are all it was from Hongyun that he was detained. These prisoners have spent hundreds of chaos in the eternal dark prison. One by one, they have a deep hatred for the Jade, and Jian Wushuang, as a disciple of Hongyun, wants to subdue them. Of course, it is even more difficult. Although knowing that it is very difficult to conquer, Jian Wushuang is not in a hurry. After all, this is just the first prisoner he meets. There are countless prisoners in this eternal dark prison, and not everyone will die like this wing master. I came to this eternal dark prison mainly to experience and improve my strength. As for the strong, it is not anxious to conquer the strong, and you can take it slowly. Next, if I meet those prisoners again, unless the opponent is too strong, I can only use the power of the array to save my life, otherwise I will try not to mobilize the power of the array. After all, move the array frequently. If it is powerful, the movement will be a little bigger. I am afraid that someone like me who is a red cloud and a disciple will roam in the dark prison and it will spread. In the future, I will roam in this eternal dark prison, it will not be so easy. Jian Wushuang secretly said. He has made up his mind to experience and conquer the strong. He focuses on the experience first. As for conquering the strong, when he is almost done, he is going to conquer. As soon as Sai Yi's master died, his body and Chen Kunji were left behind. Jian Wushuang took away the Chen Kuan ring dominated by Sai Yi first, and his consciousness was immediately investigated. With this investigation, Jian Wushuang's eyes lightened. This wing dominates, and he is trapped in eternal dark prison for a long time. There are hundreds of times of chaos. In such a long time, there may be a lot of masters who died in his hands. Otherwise, he is the most precious treasure in the world. There will never be so many. Jian Wushuang sighed softly. At a glance of his consciousness, he found that the Chenkuan ring dominated by this wing was the strongest treasure, and there were more than 20 pieces, and there were treasure armors, domains, repressions, etc., although there was no such high level the strongest treasure, but still very amazing. This is only just the strongest treasure. As for the top and peak treasures, it is even more numerous. This prisoner in the eternal dark prison is so rich. Jian Wushuang also exclaimed. It is indeed too rich. This wing is dominated by the prisoners who are living in the first space. He can always survive, mainly because of his life-saving ability, but I am afraid that there are not many prisoners. He killed himself, but he still has more than 20 of the most powerful treasures. If you kill the more powerful prisoners, Jian Wushuang's gains will certainly be greater. Yes, the wings dominated by this wing are also a good treasure. Jian Wushuang glanced at the corpse dominated by Sai Yi, and waved his hand directly to cut off the whole pair of wings dominated by Sai Yi. Then he continued to wander in the surrounding void. In the 9th dark area, the prisoners exceeded 100,000, and the branches were extremely dense. Jian Wushuang so unscrupulously released the power of the soul to roam in the 9th dark zone, it is easy to meet other prisoners. Only 2 hours after Sai Yi's death, Jian Wushuang met another prisoner. This prisoner is superior to Sai Yi's master in terms of strength, which is comparable to the ancient Night Demon King. After the encounter, the two met directly without a word. Jian Wushuang also took out his own peak fighting power and fought fiercely. You must know that Jian Wushuang broke out with all his strength and relied on the rule of arcana and his sword skills. This prisoner has the same combat power as the ancient Night Demon King, but is slightly weaker than the ancient Night Demon King in the method of close killing. To fight against Jian Wushuang, at the beginning, he was still fighting, but gradually he was suppressed by Jian Wushuang. Knowing that he was not an opponent of Jian Wushuang, the prisoner left with a look of astonishment. Jian Wushuang did not use the array power to keep it this time, but continued to rush. In a flash, Jian Wushuang has been in the eternal dark prison for 13 days. In the 13 days, he encountered 18 people in total, but only 12 of them actually fought against him. The other 6 found that Jian Wushuang dared to release the power of the soul so unscrupulously. Seeing that Jian Wushuang's soul power is not too strong, but still far away, he did not meet Jian Wushuang. And the 12 people who fought against the sword unparalleled are also only the highest level of the second level. The weakest is also about the same as the wing master, and the strong one is even better than the ancient night demon. All have to be a little stronger, but the 12 people who fought against Jian Wushuang, except for Sai Yi, who died at the beginning, the other 11 people found that they couldn't help Jian Wushuang and chose to leave. But today, Jian Wushuang encountered the 19th person, who is a master who reached the 3rd rank, named Deerworm Demon. The Deerworm ancestor, among the thousands of 3rd-level masters in this 9th dark area, is a relatively ordinary one. He has a strong ability to protect the body, but his ability to attack close is more general. The strong realm is the most precious one, and the realm of suppressing the realm is very strong. The 9 penal monarch who once faced one of the 5 strongest people in this 9th dark area can calmly retreat. Jian Wushuang looked at the blood-covered man who appeared in front of him, but there was a hint of excitement in his eyes. End of this chapter. Chapter 3869. 6 more arrived today. Jian Wushuang came to this eternal dark prison for 13 days, and the 18 prisoners he met along the way, whether he had dealt with him or not, were only the masters of the 2nd level and the 3rd level. The master of numbers, this dear worm ancestor, is still the 1st. I went to the eternal dark prison to practice. This was to fight with stronger men. The master of the level of the ancient night demon is strong, but it can't really bring me too much pressure. Zhu, as the master of the 3rd series, should have a much stronger combat ability than the ancient night demon king, but it is a suitable challenge for the opponent. Jian Wushuang has a hint of expectation in his heart. Master of rules. When Jian Wushuang looked at the deerworm demon, this handsome cold-blooded male deerworm deer was also looking at Jian Wushuang. Eternal Dark Prison is generally held by the 1st or 2nd series of masters. After hundreds of chaos eras, these masters have either died in the midst of crazy killings, or their strength has increased, and they all reached the top level of the 2nd level. Even if a few did not reach it, their life-saving ability would be extremely strong. But in this eternal dark prison, how can there be a ruler? Did he deliberately hide the breath of divine power, and his secret technique to hide the breath is so brilliant that I can't even see it through? The dear ancestor frowned. Dear worm ancestor, can you fight me? Jian Wushuang looked at the dear worm ancestor in front of him. Sir, most of the prisoners in the eternal dark prison know most of them. Although I can't recognize you, you can survive in the eternal dark prison until now. The strength must not be weak. There is no need to deliberately hide the breath of divine power and pretend to be a ruler. Wait? Dear ancestor murmured coldly. Pretend. Jian Wushuang smiled dumbly. Dear worm ancestor, needless to say nonsense, or fight against me for a victory or defeat, or disappear quickly in front of me, I will not be difficult for you. Crazy. The dear ancestor's voice was cold. Even the 5 strongest people in this 9th dark zone are not qualified to make me disappear from the front. What are you? I want to see, where are you? Qualification to come, dare to say this. I also want to know how powerful your dear worm ancestor is. Jian Wushuang smiled, but his figure was already floating forward. Jian Wushuang shot directly, and was the first shot. But the moment he set off, there was a buzzing bluish, suddenly swept across in all directions. Each of these cyan streamers is extremely dazzling, exuding a unique breath, and in the blink of an eye, it has condensed into a huge shuttle, covering the sky and the sky. Jian Wushuang immediately noticed a powerful oppression and restraint force acting on him, making him unable to sink in shape. Is Qian Suoji? Jian Wushuang frowned. Thousands of shuttles, the best in the strongest category of treasures, is also one of the strongest treasures in the hands of deer worms. This deer ancestral ancestor is said to have two pieces of the most powerful treasures in the highest level. One is the 1,000 shuttle world, and the other is the armor he wears. As for his attack on the magic soldier, he has not yet reached need for level. Haha. The field is oppressed, so let's see who is stronger in the field. Jian Wushuang laughed heartily, and the moment the voice fell, a large block of black magic light swept out. The triple magic light mirror, Wei Neng, burst out. On the level of the treasure, the triple magic mirror is also the strongest treasure of the highest level, and it is not weaker than the 1,000 shuttle world of the demon ancestor. In terms of divine power, the deer worm ancestor is naturally stronger and logically stronger. However, Jian Wushuang has realized a trace of the laws of the universe. By the realization of the laws of the universe, he evokes the field of magic light. The power is also stronger, and the two are madly attacking each other. In a short time, they each formed a field each other, and the chambers competed. You even have such a domineering field-class treasure? The deer worm ancestor looked at Jian Wushuang in surprise. I have more than that. Jian Wushuang smiled indifferently, and a large amount of gloom spread among the huge pair of wings behind him. Shuangguang smashed Tianyi, and Shuangguang realm unfolded. Shuangguang realm is also a domain-type means, and it is also controlled by Jian Wushuang. Under the control of Jian Wushuang, this Shuangguang realm is immediately combined with the magical light realm, and the power of the magical light realm soars in time. Banging! The field soared into the sky, forming the Dao Dao field ocean, and madly attacked the past of the thousands of shuttle circles of the deer, insect, and ancestor. Just now, it was able to compete with the magic light field, which was quite 1,000 shuttles. At this moment, it was extremely shocked, and the entire field began to fall. What? The deer worm ancestor was startled, and frowned at Jian Wushuang. I have been fighting for many years in the eternal dark prison. I have played against the masters of countless second and third ranks. In the process, I said that most of the fields were suppressed by me. Only a few can compete with my field chambers. As for those who have suppressed my field positively, you are the third one for a long time. However, the field is just a supplementary means. Your field is strong, but I don't know if the combat power is the same. The deer ancestor's voice was cold, a purple shuttle appeared in the palm of his right hand, and the surging divine power condensed on his body. Kill. With a low drink, the deer worm ancestor shook and appeared directly in front of Jian Wushuang. Even though he is now being suppressed by the magic light field, but the dominance of the third level, this field is not too strong to suppress him, and his combat power can still play more than 90%. Call out. A scream of loud air sounded. The long shuttle in the hands of the deer worm ancestor suddenly turned into a purple horror. This purple horror was extremely dazzling and eye-catching. So fast. Jian Wushuang showed a hint of surprise. Obviously being suppressed by his field, the speed of the deerworm tribe shuttle turned out to be so fast, and the combat power of the third series was really extraordinary. Jian Wushuang also immediately shot. In his hand, Wu crying Excalibur issued a faint sound of swordsing. Above. The shuttle shook slightly, but immediately it produced a special strength, and it rippled, like a black hole that swallowed the sky and swept the sword. Broken. Jian Wushuang whispered in a low voice, Wu Wei's magic sword power can show. A hazy sword shadow invaded instantly. The strongest sword skill created by Jian Wushuang, hazy. Chapter 3870. The first is more. The sword shadow power broke out, and the black hole that swallowed the world suddenly shrank, and then disappeared. The deerworm ancestor looked up at Jian Wushuang in amazement. The rule is precious. Do you still understand a little rule of the universe? At this moment, the deerworm ancestor had set off a huge wave in his heart, but immediately he calmed down. Kill you, this rule of treasure is mine. The demon ancestor of the deer bug is soaring into the sky, and the shuttle in his hand is directly turned into a sharp purple arc at this moment. Oh, it's fast and completely unclear. These purple arcs directly attacked Xiong Jianhuang's head. Jian Wushuang also waved the Wu weapon sword in his hand. Regarding the speed of swordsmanship, he was not under the shuttle. However, Jian Wushuang is only the master of the rules, relying on the perfect level of life, adding many secret skills, and the rule of treasure in terms of power. He also reached the threshold of dominating the second level. The deerworm ancestor, however, is the third level master, and it is much stronger than Jian Wushuang in divine power. Clang, clang, clang. After only a few collisions, Jian Wushuang did not crush at all, and looked rather embarrassed. It is indeed the master of the third series, great. Jian Wushuang marveled, but the excitement in his eyes did not diminish in the slightest. This strength just allows me to test that trick. The sword unparalleled took the initiative. It's wow. Swords are sweeping like waves. The void in front of him seemed to be plunged into a continuous sea, and countless waves of layers spread endlessly. These waves are sometimes violent, rolling up huge waves. Sometimes soft, as if the spring breeze hit the face. From time to time, it was like a mighty army. The skies soared like ocean, surging and surging, completely covered the deer, worm and demon ancestors in front of it. From the beginning, the demon ancestor did not care about this sword technique performed by Swordmaster. He waved the shuttle at will, and the shuttle picked up the mighty power and easily crushed the waves. But a wave of a heavy wave was crushed, and a wave of a second wave was swept immediately, a wave of a second wave was defeated, and a wave of a third wave came again. There are endless waves of shocking waves. After dozens of waves rushed. This sword art is endless. The deer worm ancestor frowned, and he also found that the sword wave that blindly defeated the table and killed him was useless at all. You can only use the force to break the method, directly defeat the sword Wushuang this sword to completely break the crack, and disperse the surrounding sword art mood. Purple light. The demon ancestor murmured, and the purple shuttle in his hand suddenly burst into a dazzling purple light. This purple light is like a huge purple sun appearing between heaven and earth, shining. And in the center of this purple sun, a horrific power burst out. The strongest trick created by the deer ancestor, Ziguang. This move is also one of the capitals that the deer worm ancestors can spend hundreds of times in the eternal dark prison. Banging. This bright purple light directly dissipated the surrounding sky waves, and in a single breath wiped out most of the sky's sword-like ocean, but failed to completely wipe out the sword-like ocean. The sword Wushuang divine power tumbled down, the annihilation of the sword of the ocean half of the sky once again rose into the sky, the endless sword of waves, still unbridled impact. What? The deer ancestor's face finally changed. One of his strongest moves failed to completely break the swordplay. And this swordplay is obvious, as long as you don't break open, you can recover instantly. The waves are really endless. Although his demon ancestors are extremely powerful, he can easily defeat the waves of assaults, but in the face of the endless waves, he only has a dumbfounded role. The deer worm ancestor immediately wanted to get rid of the scope of this sword-like ocean, but Jenny Ocean took him as the core and swept away from all directions, so he couldn't get rid of it at all. He can only fall into the midst of this sword-like ocean, passively resisting the waves from the surroundings. In the Red Cloud realm, using wave light, one of the strongest swordsmanships created by many opportunities, not originally to kill the enemy, but to entangle and trap each other. This deer ancestor is caught in my wavelight swordsmanship, unless he can absolutely crushing power, with a force to break the law, completely defeated my sword style, or even if he has a monstrous ability, he can only be entangled by my sword-like ocean, and cannot escape. Looking at the deer worm ancestor who was constantly trying to break free in the ocean of swords, a smile appeared on Jian Wushuang's face. He created the 3 strongest swords. The hazy attack power is the strongest and is used to kill the enemy. Guardian of the Earth is a body sword, used for defense. And this wave of lightsaber is to entangle and trap the enemy. This move is not very destructive, but the ability to entangle the enemy is extremely good. Although this dear ancestor is the master of the third level, he is best at the field and body protection ability. As for his killing ability and attacking power, it is not very strong. Now he is being used in the field. Under the premise of the complete suppression of Jian Wushuang, this deer worm ancestor could not break the wave lightsaber at one time, and naturally, it was only the sword that had been trapped by Jian Wushuang's sword-like ocean. The deer worm ancestor has been trying to break free in the Sword of the Sea, but after exerting all his powers, he can't get rid of it. After a while, he finally gave up. Aggrieved, this battle was really aggrieved. The deer worm ancestor also had a hint of anger in his heart. While resisting the sword wave from the surrounding impact, his eyes locked the sword unparalleled in front of Dao Dao. This man is obviously inferior to me, but he is good at this entangled swordsmanship, but he is very difficult. I am a little worse at attacking power and can't break his swordsmanship. There is no way to take him. I knew he had the rule of treasure in his hands, and I couldn't get it. The dear ancestor shook his head. Sir, stop. The dear ancestor suddenly said, his voice low. Stop it. Jian Wushuang EY, although I can't help you, do you still want to kill me with this sword skill? The deer worm ancestor looked at Jian Wushuang coldly. Jian Wushuang smiled dumbly. Indeed, his wave of lightsaber is very powerful, but it is only used to entangle the trapped enemy. As for relying on this sword to kill the deer ancestors, that is a joke. The deer worm ancestor is the master of the third rank, and in the third rank of the master, it is also famous for its field and body protection ability. His body protection method is much stronger than the attack and kill method. To kill him, even this is the case. The 5 strongest people in the 9th Dark Zone cannot do it. Unless they mobilize the power of the French array, they will definitely not do it. Emperor Zhou. Chapter 3871. Second more. Jian Wushuang could not kill this deer worm ancestor at all. Even if it is more than the power of the demon, although his own power is more vast than that of the deer worm ancestor, his sword power wave consumes the power of the is not small, and the deer worm ancestor is caught in the ocean of swordsmanship. To resolve the surrounding heavy attacks, the consumption of divine power is very small. In this way, Jian Wushuang has no advantage. Mantian's sword means the ocean disappears out of thin air, and Jian Wushuang has also taken back the Wu weapon sword in his hand. Sir, could you tell me your name? The dear ancestor also withdrew the shuttle and looked at Jian Wushuang calmly. My name is Bloodsword. The sword was unparalleled. Bloodsword, if I read correctly, you should still be a ruler? Asked the dear ancestor. Yes. Jian Wushuang did not deny. If the dear ancestor sees himself at first, he may also suspect that he has exerted a special method to hide the breath of divine power. With the two sides fighting, with the vision of this dear worm ancestor, naturally he can see that the sword is unique. Only integrating the 3 rules of heaven and earth, there is still a certain distance from the master. Jian Wushuang did not intend to conceal the fact that he was only the ruler. Unexpectedly, in the first level of this eternal dark prison, not only there are a large number of prisoners who dominate the hierarchy, but even the ruler of the rule, but you, the ruler of the rule, is indeed against the sky. I was extremely impressed, and I also realized a bit of the law of the universe. The sword skill is also so powerful, especially the sword skill you last cast, even I can't help it. The deer worm ancestor also praised the sword's unique strength. Although it is only the rule ruler, there is no doubt that Jian Wushuang is definitely the rule ruler that the deer worm ancestor has ever seen. Thanks for the praise, your strength is not weak. Jian Wushuang laughed. He also acknowledged the strength of this dear ancestor. After all, what he just saw was only the attacking and killing ability and domain of the deer ancestor. The most terrifying thing of the deer worm ancestor is his protection method. Bloodsword, although you are not weak, but I still advise you, in the eternal dark prison in the future, it is better to be as low-key as possible. If you see try not to, because after all, you have the law treasure. This is a treasure that even the 10 most powerful kings will love. Once they are known, there will be a lot of strong people watching you. Your entangled swordsmanship is very powerful. I can't break it, but that's just my ability to attack and kill a little bit. If you encounter some third-level masters who are extremely good at attacking and killing, you may not be able to do so. It worked, said the dear ancestor. Thank you very much. Jian Wushuang thanked him. However, I have hundreds of chaos ages in the eternal dark prison of Bloodsword, and the great realm has crossed 3. But until now I have lived well, maybe I am in strength. This eternal dark prison is not the best, but if you want to save your life, there are really few who can kill me in this eternal dark prison. Jian Wushuang's unbelievable self-confidence made the dear ancestors stunned, and then nodded. Yes, if you do not have a considerable life-saving ability, you will not be able to live in this eternal dark prison until now. That rule of treasure is not always in your hands. The dear ancestor apparently had no doubts about the sword unparalleled words. He did not think that Jian Wushuang was only just more than 10 days after he arrived in the eternal dark prison. As for what he said, there were hundreds of times of chaos, spanning 3 large domains, that was just talking nonsense, just to confuse the dear demon ancestor, nothing more. However, it is true that Jian Wushuang has absolute confidence in his life-saving ability. After all, Hongyun Yiman's disciple's token is in his hand. He is invincible in this eternal dark prison. That being the case, then I don't have to say much more. Leave. The dear worm ancestor arched his hand at the sword Wushuang, and then left directly. Jian Wushuang watched the dear ancestor depart, and a smile gradually appeared on his face. This dear worm ancestor just said that, because I felt that I had released the power of the soul to investigate in this eternal dark prison, too. Swaying, it's easy to attract the strong, but he doesn't know. I came to this eternal dark prison for the sake of experience. For me, the more powerful the better in the eternal dark prison, the better, no one refuses. Jian Wushuang is eager to fight with many of the top powerhouses in eternal dark prison. But one thing he also knew was that it had to be gradual. After all, his current combat power is there, which is the peak of the 2nd series. When he meets the general 3rd series, he can't beat him and can only rely on wave lightsaber to entangle it. The ancestor of the deerbug just now has a more general attack and killing ability. After being trapped by his own wave lightsaber, there is nothing he can do but to stop. However, if it is replaced by the 3rd-level master who has a strong ability to attack and kill, this wave of lightsaber may not be able to play such a big role. Just now, the demon ancestor of the deer worm cast his strongest move, but it only wiped out most of my wave lightsaber. It is far from the limit that wave lightsaber can withstand, that is, even if it is attacking the 3rd-level master who is slightly stronger than the demon ancestors on the killing power is probably not able to forcibly break my trick. In this 9th dark zone, those who can lose my wave of lightsaber in a single move, I am afraid there are only the 5 strongest. As for the thousands of 3rd-level masters, the combat power is at the top. If I can break my wave lightsaber, I have to try to know. Jian Wushuang muttered. In the battle with the deer worm ancestors, the sword unparalleled harvested a lot. At least I know the gap between myself and the 3rd-level master, and I also understand the ability of the wave lightsaber you created. And then, of course, he continued to wander in the surrounding area. And he is still unbridled and directly releases the power of his soul, covering a radius of 100,000 miles, searching for the strong around him. Such an unscrupulous search is naturally easy to encounter with those strong and then fight. The sword unparalleled cannot resist, in this 9th dark area, and fierce battle with a prisoner, a strong, and so on. In a blink of an eye, Jian Wushuang came to the 1st floor of this eternal dark prison for 3 months. In these 3 months, there were hundreds of strong men before and after him, of which 6 were 3rd-level dominated feet. Most of these strong men chose to fight with him, and they also had victory and defeat. As for the 6 3rd-level masters who faced each other, Jian Wushuang is not an opponent. They can only rely on wave lightsaber to entangle them, and the other party it's hard to do nothing about him. Emperor Zhoutian. Chapter 3872. Third More. Demon Domain, the 9th Dark Zone. It was an unknown hill, but now it has been called the Qianblade Mountain by many prisoners in the 9th Dark Zone. The reason for this is because Thousand Blades Lord, one of the 5 strongest in the 9th Dark Zone, lives there. Unlike those prisoners who have been smashing and killing all year round, the Lord of the Thousand Blades is already at the top of this eternal dark prison. As long as it is not the 10 kings who provoked the Xeon, there is basically no danger, so he can find a place more comfortable as a long-term residence. Many prisoners in the 9th Dark Area knew that this was where he lived, so they dared not approach. But today, there is one person on this 1000-blade mountain. 1000 blades. The cold voice echoed all over the mountain, and a figure immediately swept out of the 1000-blade mountains. The face of Bingyu exudes a faint sheen, and his breath is bland, but still awesome. He is the master of 1000 blades. Long Shun, why do you have time for me today? Chen Blade Demon looked at the Lord Long Shun in front of him, with a smile on his face. In the eternal dark prison, although many prisoners are extremely mad to kill, in the long years of killing, some prisoners have formed a relationship with each other, and some friends exist. 1000-blade Demon Lord has a few friendships that are not bad. The Dragon Shun, who has reached the 3rd level, is one of them. Your days are leisurely. Lord Shun Shun looked at the relaxed look of Chen Dao Demon and couldn't help sighing. Ha, detained in eternal dark prison, can't see the sun all day long, how can there be any leisure? Chen Blade Demon smiled. Dragon Shun, a rare trip, come to my cave house, give me a drink, how? No, I'm here to tell you something. I'll leave when I'm finished. Long Shun dominated. Oh. 1000-blade Lord looked. What? Just 3 months ago, a new strong emerged in this 9th dark zone. Have you ever known about this? Long Shun asked. The 1st floor of the eternal dark prison is so huge, we have a total of 108 dark areas in our dragon domain alone. What is so strange about coming from another dark area to a strong one? Chen Blade the Lord doesn't agree. But this person has been in the 9th dark zone for 3 months. During this period, he played against many prisoners in the 9th dark zone. These prisoners all agreed that he was only a ruler. Long Shun ruled the road. Master of rules. The 1000-edged Demon Lord, who had just disapproved, immediately showed his astonishment, and his expression became dignified. In the beginning, the cloud of Hongyun was extremely strong, the territory of the kingdom of God opened up was vast, and the majesty of the majesty was countless. I were all detained by this vein into this eternal dark prison, and the vein of red cloud was detained in this first space. There are a lot of masters, but there are also some masters of the rules. Although the rulers of these rules are dead, maybe the masters of the rules have survived. However, the killing of the eternal dark prison is extremely mad. A rule master can survive hundreds of times of chaos in this long kill and survive to this day. The talent of the rule master should be quite rewarding. Force, it will not be worse. 1000-blade magic master. Yes, the ruler is very against the sky. Not only is he extremely aware of the origin of the Kendo universe, but he also understands a bit of the lore of the universe. Even if these talents are placed in the vast universe, they are absolutely top-notch. This kind of super genius that is rare in billions of stars. Unfortunately, the vein of Hongyun has long since disappeared, otherwise the talent of the ruler should have been released long ago. Long Shun dominated. Hongyun Imai created the eternal dark prison by selecting some powerful businessmen for Hongyun Imai. A super genius who has realized a trace of the laws of the universe at the level of the ruler. Of course, Hongyun Imai will not be willing to be held here forever. Long Shun, you came here deliberately to tell me about this. The Qiandao demon looked at Master Long Shun in confusion. Although the Lord of the Rules is indeed very dazzling against the sky, it has nothing to do with him, and it should not be worth the visit of Lord Shun Shun. 1000 blades, you may not know yet, there is a rule of treasure in the hands of the ruler. Suddenly the master of Long Shun said. What did you say? 1000-blade demon stared sharply, and there was no such relaxed appearance just now. It is a rule of law treasure. He has been in the 9th dark zone for 3 months, and he has said to hundreds of prisoners during the period that those prisoners can see that the magic soldier in his hand is the law of treasure, and because he is already realizing the relationship of a rule of the universe, he can even exert that rule of treasure to a certain degree of power. In addition, the rule of treasure in his hand is still a magic sword. Dragon Shun ruled. Law of the most precious sword. Thousand-Blade Demon Master was completely excited. You know, what he is good at is kendo. The magic soldier he used is also a magic sword, but he is only using the strongest magic sword that reaches the highest level. The magic sword with the rule of treasure is definitely his dream. Longshan, do you know the size and shape of the Excalibur used by that ruler? Qianlian Demon asked. I have asked a master who has played against him before. According to the master, the ruler named Bloodsword has a very thin Excalibur sword. He should be sharp and good at cutting and killing. Excalibur, and the exquisite sword's breath is extremely cold, extremely dark, even the naked eye will feel heart palpitations. Longshan dominated. The breath is cold and dark, good at cutting the rule of assassination to the magic sword. Thousand-Blade Demon Lord shivered. It fits perfectly. That exquisite sword is so suitable for him. Its nature is similar to the Excalibur he is using now, but that is the rule of treasure. In the entire first floor of the Eternal Dark Prison, the lore treasure is definitely a legendary existence. Even the 10 recognized kings of Xeon, it is difficult to say whether they have a rule of treasure in their hands. He is the one with 5 blades. In this 9th dark area, as one of the 5 strongest men, his combat power has barely reached the 3rd level. Compared with the 10 kings, he is not worse. Too much. If at this time he can get a magical treasure that is suitable for his swordplay, then his combat power is likely to leap to the level of the 10 kings. By then, he will be the 11th king in the first space of this eternal dark prison. Emperor Jotian Deer, click in and give a good comment. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that a beautiful wife was found at the end of the new score. Chapter 3873. Fourth is here. Thousand Blades, you are good at swordsmanship. The ruler of the ruler's hand is the most precious sword. It should be right for you. Dragon Shan Master looked over. It's more than just fit, it's just tailored for me. Thousand-Blade Demon's eyes were full of surprises. Dragon, how did you know the ruler? There is no way for Fu to communicate in the Eternal Dark Prison. I just happened to pass by Jiu Wang and listen to Jiu Wang. Longshan dominated. Eternal Dark Prison is a jail, where order communication cannot be performed at all. Because of this, the news in the Eternal Dark Prison is very ill-informed. It has been 3 months since Zhen Wushuang ran into this 9th dark area, but the Master of the Thousand Blades has not received the news until now. This is why Lord Shen came over here for a trip, otherwise the Thousand-Blade Demon Lord stayed here without asking about world affairs, and it may not be known that Zhen Wushuang exists for decades. King of the Ghosts. Thousand-Blade Demon Lord looked. Listen to the Gupong King, he has just fought a battle with the ruler. Although he is far superior to the latter in terms of strength, the ruler knows how to perform an extremely unique entangled sword technique, that sword technique. Quite weird, the Jiu King was caught in it and he couldn't break it. Even if he used the strongest attack method, he couldn't break the sword in one breath, so he could only stop. Longshan dominated. Gubu, why can't he? Frostblade Master frowned. The King of Goku, among the thousands of 3rd-level masters in the 9th dark area, is definitely the top one. His attacking and killing methods are also extremely good. Among the many 3rd-level masters, he can definitely be ranked the top 20, but even the Jiu King who has this kind of attack power, can't break the entangled swordsmanship of the ruler. Although Guru failed to break the sword, but Guru also said that the entangled sword of the ruler has almost reached the limit under his attack. If his attack power can a little stronger is enough to defeat that swordsmanship. Longshan dominated again. Oh! The Lord of the Thousand Blades' eyes suddenly lit up. Haha, the Ghost King was able to defeat that sword skill within a trace, and I am one of the top 5 in the 9th dark zone. Strong, if I shoot, the ruler's entangled swordsmanship can't stop me at all. I can completely defeat his swordsmanship and kill him again. Well, it's possible. Lord Longshan nodded. However, the ruler's body holds the rule of treasure, but he can survive hundreds of times of chaos in this eternal dark prison. His life-saving means must be extraordinary. There should be more than just one entangled swordsmanship. Therefore, I will go to the Blood Rain for insurance. A trip. Thousand Blades Lord said. Blood Rain Demon? There was a flash of fear in the eyes of Lord Longshun. In this ninth dark area, the 5 strongest have their own means, such as the Master of the Thousand Blades, who are good at swordsmanship and attack and kill first. The Blood Rain Demon is good at all kinds of weird methods, but her best thing is the formation method. As soon as the formation method came out, even if the third-ranked Dominator was trapped in her formation method, it was difficult to get rid of it, and eventually it would be annihilated by the mighty power in that formation method. Therefore, the prisoners who roamed in the ninth dark area, when they saw the Blood Rain Demon, they would choose to escape immediately, and they would not give the Blood Rain Demon the opportunity to deploy. But this time, if the Master of the Thousand Blades asked the Lord of the Blood Rain to join forces, the two can almost sweep everything in the ninth dark zone. Swear you once owed me a favor, and this time I used her to ask her to take a shot. She should not refuse. Chen Blade Demon said. Then I wish you every success. Yes, the ruler's near-end time is roaming in the area where Jiu Wang is located. If you have come to the Blood Rain Demon or, you can go to that area to find him. Longshun dominated. Longshun, thank you for coming here to tell me this time. I have written down this relationship, and I will definitely have a banquet to thank you when this thing is done. Qianbian Demon said. Haha, a rule of treasure is still the most suitable rule for your magic sword, and a banquet alone can't kill me. Longshun dominated jokingly. The Qianblade Demon Lord didn't talk to the Lord Longshun again, but immediately set off to invite the Blood Rain Demon. Jian Wushuang didn't know that he had been followed by the 1,000 swordsmen of the ninth darkest strongest, even if he knew he wouldn't care. He was still alone in the ninth dark zone, fighting fiercely with the strong men he encountered. Now, Wushuang Jian met the 160th strongman since he entered the Eternal Dark Prison. This is a burly man with a tall body, wearing a red armor, and carrying a large sword. This burly man is called the Ancient Star Master, and before being held in Eternal Dark Prison, he should be a Star Master of the 3rd level of the Astral Realm, and also reached the top of the 2nd level. Jian Wushuang played against this Ancient Mixed Star Master. I saw the Master of Ancient Mixed Stars stepping out one after another. Each step was heavy and powerful, as if to break the void. And every time he stepped out, the broad knife in his hand had to be cut again. Boom. The blade of light is vast and broad, as if opening up a world. A knife followed a knife, splitting the obstacles in front of them. There are 5 different rules in this Ancient Mixed Star Master's swordsmanship, all of which are fused with each other, and this Ancient Mixed Star Master has the highest achievement in the use of the rules of the heavens and the earth, and it is the rules of the earth. So terrible knife. The sword Wushuang held the Wu weapon sword, and also successively exerted sword skills to compete with the Ancient Master's sword. However, in terms of strength and might, it is weaker than the swordsmanship of this Ancient Mixed Star. Jian Wushuang could barely resist the swordmanship of this Ancient Mixed Star Master, but while resisting, Jian Wushuang's heart suddenly had a lot of insights. Tight, nostalgic, endless. Although the Ancient Mixed Star Master understood and integrated the 5 rules at the same time, it is clear that the 5 rules are mainly based on the rules of the earth. His rules of the earth are like a sphere. The 4 other rules are perfectly contained together so that they do not distinguish each other. This is the tolerance of the earth, kind. Jian Wushuang, a variety of emotions emerged at one time. At the same time, in his mind, the 4 rules he understood, and the process of integration with each other gradually became clearer. It should be noted that he fully understood the 4 rules very early, and merged 3 of them. Only the earth rule could not be perfectly integrated with the other 3 rules. And he spent thousands of years in the Red Cloud Realm. There are many opportunities in the Red Cloud Realm, and one of them is the Wushan statue. M. Chapter 3874. 5th More. Wushan, the special life of the vast universe favored by the universe, can be born with the 9 rules and become the ultimate master. And the statue of Wugo in the Red Cloud Realm, although it is only a scale of Wugo, still contains the essence of the fusion of 9 different rules. Jian Wushuang has enlightened under this statue of Wugo for a long time. Through the rules of the earth, at the same time, the fusion of the rules of the earth with the other 3 rules is more or less enlightened, but it has not been possible to truly merge. But now, fighting against this ancient mixed star master, from the ancient mixed star master's sword, Jian Wushuang has felt a lot of things, which makes him clearer and clearer on the road of the fusion of the four rules. Jian Wushuang, even I feel that I can fully integrate the four rules immediately. Suddenly the master of the ancient celebrity, who had utterly waved a large knife to attack, stopped the action in his hand. His body also stopped in midair. Huh! Jian Wushuang stunned. He felt that he would be able to break through immediately and be able to merge the four rules, but at a critical moment, the ancient master star stopped. Master of ancient mixed stars, are you? Jian Wushuang frowned. The Lord of the Blood Sword, you are not weak. There is a rule of the most precious sword. I can completely resist my sword. I can't kill you at all. You and I continue to fight. It is also a waste of time. It is also possible attract other strong players nearby. In that case, why do you and I fight again? The sword is bidirectional but weird. Of course, he knew the meaning of the ancient mixed star. For the ancient mixed star, since there is nothing to do with each other, there is no need to waste time to fight fiercely. But he is different. He just gained tremendously in the fierce battle with the ancient mixed star. He can even be sure that as long as the ancient mixed star is fighting with him for a while, he can immediately merge the four rules. But the ancient mixed star the Lord stopped. There is no way for Jian Wushuang. ICANT tell the Guju star that he is seeking a breakthrough with the help of the opponent's knife. Really said so, this ancient mixed star master Bacheng also left without a word. Lord of the Blood Sword, leave. The master of ancient mixed stars did not stay much, and left directly. Jian Wushuang is helpless, but it is not forced, and, just in the moment of fighting, he has been very clear about the fusion of the four rules. Now he feels that he just needs to find a place to calm down and take a good look at it, and it is also possible to perfectly integrate the four rules. Although there are kills everywhere in this eternal dark prison, unless it is the most powerful and fearless top powerful people, they can find a place to live and carefully enlighten. As for most prisoners, they dare not stay in one place at all. It's too long, but I often roam in various dark areas, but I already have a clear fusion line in my mind. The time required for the fusion of these four rules is not long. It should not be interrupted in the middle. Jian Wushuang groaned. He is not afraid to be followed or killed, but he is afraid that he will be interrupted when the integration of rules is the most critical. However, this chance should be small. Immediately, Jian Wushuang found a relatively remote mountain in the nearby area, opened a temporary cave house among the mountains, and then started a hidden repair in the cave house. Inside the cave, Jian Wushuang sat sitting there. On him, the power of the rules of four different rules slowly rose. Unfortunately, this eternal dark prison environment is too harsh. The power of the rules contained in the surrounding void is extremely thin, and the power of these rules rising from the rise of the swordless twins does not resonate with the surrounding world. For rules. A fascination flashed in the sword's eyes. Let's go. Jian Wushuang began to follow the path already in his heart and began to merge. Time passed and a year passed in the blink of an eye. In this year, Jian Wushuang gradually merged the rules of the earth with the other three rules in accordance with the line in his mind. The process of this fusion is quite smooth. Until now, the fusion of these four rules is finally coming to an end. It's done. Jian Wushuang suddenly opened his eyes, and there was a flash of excitement in his eyes. In his body, time and space, reincarnation, destruction, and the earth, the four different rules have been perfectly integrated and complement each other. The power of the heaven and earth mastered by Jian Wushuang has been improved again. But soon, the sword had no double-sided color but became gloomy again. No. Some signs of a breakthrough. Do you feel nothing? Jian Wushuang couldn't help shaking his hands, and his brows frowned deeply. In the beginning of the divine realm, and even in the entire vast universe, the master of the general rules, as long as the four rules are merged, can naturally break through and become the master. This is common sense. Many masters who are familiar with Jian Wushuang's surroundings, after integrating the four rules, directly broke through and became masters. But now, he has also merged the four rules, but in other aspects. His long awareness of the origin of kendo has already surpassed most third-order masters. He is far more arrogant than the average master. It stands to reason that he fully fulfilled any requirement for a breakthrough to become dominant. However, he did not feel any signs that he would break through and become the master. At first, he thought it was because he was in an eternal dark prison, where the cultivation environment was so bad that he couldn't be the master. But immediately he shook his head and denied it. The harsh cultivation environment only makes me unable to make breakthroughs to a certain extent. It doesn't make me feel like I haven't made a breakthrough at all. I look like this now. Obviously, I can't make a breakthrough at all. To be precise, I didn't meet the requirements of breaking the at all. Jian Wushuang clenched his teeth. He couldn't break through. Even though the 4 rules have been merged, and he has fully met the requirements for a breakthrough to become the master, he still cannot break through. In fact, he was already mentally prepared for this. After all, he is not a general practitioner, he is a special life, but also a special life of perfect level. In the vast universe, although special life is unique, it is also restricted by the universe. The universe is fair. Compared with ordinary practitioners, special life has many innate advantages, but it also creates special lives. To break through the bottleneck, it is more difficult than ordinary practitioners. Like Wushan, he is uniquely endowed with the 9 rules to achieve ultimate domination, but Wushan is extremely difficult to reach the peak. Like the undead wraith, although it is not a special life, it is also the most terrifying peak group in the universe. The undead wraith is incomparable to the sky, but the limit of the universe is also extremely huge. End of this chapter. Chapter 3875. The more the anti-sky ethnic group or life, the greater the limit of the universe. Jian Wushuang is a special level of perfect life. He is limited by the universe, and there are few lives in the vast universe. This is the case when he first broke through the undead saint to reach the ruler. The ordinary undead saint, as long as he understands one rule, has reached the threshold of the master who breaks through the rules, but he waits until he understands the 2 rules at the same time and merges with each other before breaking through. Now, he has fully understood and integrated the 4 rules, reaching the minimum requirement for ordinary practitioners to break through and become the master, but he is still far from the real breakthrough. When the undead saint broke through to reach the ruler of the rule, I guessed that it would be more difficult than the others to break through from the rule's main breakthrough to the ruler, but I have not been able to be sure, but now it seems. Jian Wushuang secretly sighed. When the undead saint broke through and reached the ruler, he was well prepared. After all, there is his master Xian Yi leading the way. Xian Yi merged the 2 rules before breaking through the rule of the Lord. He is naturally the same. But from the master of the rule to become the master, no one gave him the way. After all, during the peak of his respect for Xian Yi, he was only the master of the rules. He also failed to reach the level of dominance, and Xian Yi did not integrate the 4 rules at that time. This gave Jian Wushuang's heart a bit of luck. Maybe he merged the 4 rules, and he could also break through the master. The idea is good, but the reality is cruel. If I can directly break through and become the master, I can immediately re-refine Taichu Divine Realm. I can guarantee that Taichu Divine Realm is worry-free, but unfortunately, Jian Wushuang could only shake his head secretly. After the 4-door rule, my strength has also been greatly improved, which is a big gain. With the fusion of the 4 rules, Jian Wushuang got more than just a willpower. The merging of the 4-door rules alone is enough to enhance Jian Wushuang's sword power. It also has a higher level of use of the rules, which also improves his strength. There is also swordplay. My perception of the origin of Kendo universe is very high, but my rules of fusion are too few, which has affected my sword art more or less. Now the 4 rules are merged, and these sword arts I have created should all be okay. Get a certain level of improvement, of course. The most important thing is to protect the earth. Jian Wushuang groaned. The guardian swordsmanship of the earth is to condense the swordsmanship of the earth. This major and important swordsmanship shows up mainly by 2 aspects. The first is his perception of the origin of the Kendo universe, and the second is the rules of the earth. Although he had previously understood the rules of the earth, he had not merged with the other 3 rules, which led to this sword domain. He could only join the rules of the earth. But now he can focus on the rules of the earth, and integrate the other 3 rules perfectly, making the power of the sword of the earth stronger. Let's start. Jian Wushuang took a deep breath, calmed down the restlessness in his heart, and continued to increase his sword power in this cave. The 3 strongest sword techniques he created: Hazy, Light, and Earthguard. After the fusion of his 4 rules, the influence of Earthguard must be the greatest, but the other 2 sword techniques can also be used to a great extent. Promotion. Next, Jian Wushuang stayed in this cave, and continued to spend time improving his sword skills. The process of swordsmanship improvement can be more complicated than the fusion of the previous 4 rules, and it will take longer. A flash, 3 years have passed. The 9th dark zone is thousands of miles away from the cave house where Jian Wushuang is hiding. The 2 figures suddenly condensed in the void. These 2 people are the same, the one who was attracted by the sword of the sword without hands, the magic sword of the 1,000 blades, and the blood rain demon he invited. The blood rain demon is the only woman among the 5 strongest in the 9th dark area. She is beautiful in appearance and graceful in shape, charming with every move. At this moment in front of the 2 of them, he was trembling, standing with a burly man. If Jian Wushuang was here, he would be able to recognize at a glance that this burly man had previously dealt with him, and he was affected by the opponent's swordsmanship, thus merging the 4 rules of the ancient mixed star master. Jiyu Zhuo, meet the Lord of the 1,000 Blades and Blood Rain Demon. Jiyu Chuan was very shocked at the moment. He is just a 2nd-ranked peak master. Although his life-saving ability is good, he can only face the ordinary 3rd-ranked master. But the 2 bladed masters and the blood rain demon, these 2 casually take out one was enough to easily kill him, and of course he was trembling. Gujuan, I ask you, have you ever seen the newly risen Lord of the Blood Sword? 1,000 Blades Lord looked down. The Lord of the Blood Sword? The ancient hybrid Star Master noticed the apparently anxious look of the Qianblade Lord, and he already had some guesses in his heart. He also knew why the Qiandao Lord was so anxious. 1,000 Blade Lord, I did meet the Lord of the Blood Sword. It was 4 years ago. I encountered him and had a fierce battle, but he was not weak. I could not help him, so I left. I haven't seen him again in 4 years, and it seems that in these 4 years I haven't heard that the Lord of the Blood Sword is still active in this area. The ancient mixed star said truthfully. Have you seen it 4 years ago? After learning that Jian Wushuang existed, he immediately invited the Blood Rain Demon to rush here, but it happened that Jian Wushuang was hiding in Dongfu. In the past 4 years, Jian Wushuang, who has been hiding in Dongfu www.mtlnovel.com, has not come out. The Lord of the 1,000 Blades came to this area to look for many prisoners in the area. Most of them did not know Jian Wushuang. Even if they knew it, they had heard or encountered it 4 years ago. In other words, in these 4 years, Jian Wushuang has not appeared in this area. Is that the Lord of the Blood Sword already gone? The Lord of the 1,000 Blades mumbled. It's possible. Blood Rain Demon nodded slightly, and said softly, the Lord of the Blood Sword is just the Lord of the Rules and the Rule of Treasure, but he can survive in the eternal dark prison for so long, it must not be a fool. He knows now that I have made some noise in the 9th dark area. It is normal to leave immediately and go to another dark area. No, I don't believe he just left like this. Keep looking, no matter what the price is, I must find him out. The face of the master of the 1,000 Blades is twisted together, and in his eyes is an unprecedented heat and crazy. Chapter 3876. The first is more. Inside the cave, Jian Wushuang spent another 3 years of meditation on improving the sword after merging the 4 rules, and now he has finally stopped. 3 years of careful study and improvement of swordsmanship. Up to now, of the 3 strongest swordsmen I have created, the 2 major swordsmanships, Hazy and Wavelight, have been greatly improved. Jian Wushuang smiled. Swordsmanship is hazy, and it is the power that rises. And the sword art Wavelight, whether it is sword art power or artistic conception, has been significantly improved, in addition to this sword art toughness. However, in the past 3 years, he has made the most progress in swordsmanship. The fusion of the 4 rules is mainly based on the rules of the earth, and it is perfectly integrated into the sword art. I will play the guardianship of the earth. The condensed land of the sword will be full of 51. The sword's eyes blinked with light. It should be noted that when he was outside the ancient Night Demon Palace, he played against the ancient Night Demon Lord, who spent a great price to show his strongest hole card, which came from a super-secret skill of his division. Power almost reached the 3rd level of higher level. But at that time, Jian Wushuang only condensed 43 major land sword areas and still resisted that hole card. But now the sword unparalleled can consolidate enough 51 major land sword areas, and because of the ancient integration of the 4 rules, the quality of the 51 major land sword areas is much stronger than the previous 43 heavy ones. Doubt, now he is definitely a lot stronger in body protection alone than before. This also gave him greater capital to roam in this eternal dark prison. I've been in this cave for 4 years and I should probably go out and do it. Jian Wushuang smiled, even when walking out of Dongfu. After leaving the cave, Jian Wushuang immediately released the power of the soul, explored the surrounding environment, and then began to wander in this 9th dark area. Half a day later, Jian Wushuang met a prisoner. However, with a glance at the sword, Wushuang recognized the identity of the opponent. It is just a master of the 2nd level peak. It is estimated that the combat power is worse than that of the ancient Night Demon. Fight, but continue to look for stronger opponents. If 4 years ago, his 4 rules had not yet been merged, he would be more willing to play against these 2nd level peak dominators, more or less lively. However, with the integration of his 4 rules, his overall strength has been greatly improved, and it is difficult to raise his interest just because of the dominance of the 2nd series. Now, if he wants to fight, he will fight with those who are strong, at least the 3rd-ranking master. 4 days later, within the soul perception of Jian Wushuang, a master of the 3rd rank finally appeared. Jian Wushuang said nothing, and ran directly towards the other side. Lingguang God. Jian Wushuang looked calmly at the master in front of him. You are the Lord of the Blood Sword? Lingguang Shenjun, dressed in a golden robe and handsome, looked at Jian Wushuang, and there was a hint of wonder in his eyes. In the eternal dark prison, although there was no way to conduct the order communication, which caused the news to be blocked, Jian Wushuang has been violent in this area. Naturally, some of the master prisoners in this area knew his existence. I heard that Lingguang Shenjun is superb in your marksmanship. The strongest mysterious mist foglight is the capital of your 9th dark area. With this trick, you can rank among the many 3rd-level masters in this 9th dark area, the first 50. Since I saw it today, I really want to learn from you. Jian Wushuang smiled. As you wish. Lingguang Shenjun didn't have the slightest nonsense, he just spoke out. I saw a dark spear in the hand of Lingguang Shenjun. This dark spear was filled with a layer of teal light, exuding a very strong breath. With the rolling power of Lingguang Shenjun, the dark spear seemed like an instant. Xiaolong shot straight out. Call out. Call out. Call out. Call out. Call out. The void was pierced through by ruthless holes. In this momentary effort, Lingguang Shenjun stabbed 19 shots at the same time, 1 shot faster than the other, and 1 shot faster than the other. Jian Wushuang is also a step forward, Wu Wei Shenzhen in hand, the vast Kendo universe origins permeate. Jian Wushuang did not immediately embark on the wave of light swordsmanship to engage with this Lingguang god, but chose to face it directly. Under his waving, Wu Crying Sword also successively cut out a series of extremely powerful sword shadows. These sword shadows are all fused the 4 rules, and also a trace of the law of the universe. Clang, 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 clang. The dense metal impact sounded through the void, and at this moment Jian Wushuang and the Lingguang god had already confronted each other 19 times. During these 19 collisions, each time the sword was in a disadvantage. After the 19 collisions, he was quite embarrassed. Seeing this, Lingguang Shenjun frowned. It is said that the main clan of the blood sword is a skill that entangles people trapped. Once the sword skill is out, even if the 3rd-level master is caught in it, it is difficult to break free, and it cannot be defeated directly by force. But if you put aside the entangled swordsmanship, there is still a big gap between the Bloodsword Master's combat power and the third level. But now, Lingguang Shenjun took a deep look at Jian Wushuang. He had exhausted all his efforts with the 19 shots just now. Although he completely suppressed Jian Wushuang, that's all. He can see that Jian Wushuang's power to display his sword skills has also reached the threshold of the third level. Lingguang's 19 shots couldn't take him down, so even if I use Ling Ying's 7 styles, I'm afraid he can block it from the front. It seems that he can only use the Mist God Light. Lingguang God's eyes were slightly condensed. For so many years, he has created a lot of tricks in the Eternal Dark Prison. One of them is Lingguang's 19 shots. As for Ling Ying's 7, it is slightly stronger than the Lingguang 19 airsoft, but not much. And his real strongest is the Misty Light. Kill! Lingguang shouted with a fierce whisper, and his body suddenly gave out a huge beam of light. The light was extremely dazzling, like a huge sun. In this light, the black spear in Lingguang Shenjun's hand exploded. Suddenly, the heavens and the earth were silent, and a wave of extinction power suddenly condensed and erupted. This is the Misty Light. Jian Wushuang's eyes brightened, but his face was quite dignified. This Lingguang is qualified to be ranked in the top 50 of the 9th Dark Zone by this trick. I'll take a look. My strongest power is far worse than this misty aura. Jian Wushuang's power broke out to the extreme, and Wu Wei's Excalibur in his hand also gave a trace of hissing. Followed by a hazy sword shadow, straight out. Emperor Zhou. Chapter 3877. The second is even more. The most powerful hazy sword technique created by Jian Wushuang. This move has also been greatly improved after Jian Wushuang's integration of the 4 rules. Now showing from the swordless hands, the flashing light in that hazy mist is also extremely eye-catching, and its power is not much weaker than the ordinary third-level master to do a full blow, and in the blink of an eye, the hazy swordsmanship and the misty pole Shunguang collided head-on. Peng! As if 2 stars collided together, both burst into a dazzling light. But it is clear that in the mighty, the swordless Wushu's dim swordsmanship is much weaker. After a moment of confrontation with the fog aura of light, the mist of the sky is scattered, and an overwhelming power directly covers the sword. Then, Jian Wu's double body trembled and retreated. After regaining his position in the void, Jian Wushuang felt the impact from his body, only to regain his head, and looked at it in the past. It is indeed the King of Light Guang. Your strongest trick, Wushu Shunguang, is really powerful. Jian Wushuang is indeed amazing. Although he had encountered the stronger Gurub King before, when he was running, he had to use Wave Lightsaber to entangle with him from the beginning. There was no intention of a frontal collision at all, so he could not really feel the arrogance of Goku's attack up close. But this time facing Lingguang, he chose to collide directly, but he was directly crushed by the opponent. Lingguang Shenjun's fog is extremely powerful, and his power is obviously stronger than his hazy swordsmanship. A master of the rules, the front collided with my Wuji Shunguang, without any injuries. You are powerful enough. Lingguang Shenjun also looked at Jian Wushuang. In the beginning, I heard about your strength from other populations, and said that your real combat power would be the second-level peak dominates the level, and the swordplay that entangles people who are trapped is very special. But it doesn't seem to be the case now. Even if you don't use the entangled swordsmanship, its combat power will barely reach the third level. Haha, I just realized it recently. Jian Wushuang smiled. In this eternal dark prison where I can't see the sky at all, even if I have spent dozens of chaos eras, I can't improve my strength in the slightest. Being detained in the eternal dark prison, your talent is a waste. Lingguang Shenjun sighed. Stop it, Lord of the Blood Sword, leave. Lingguang Shenjun turned and left directly, and Jian Wushuang did not stop. Fighting with this King Lingguang, at least I have a new understanding of my current fighting power. Now the fighting power should also barely reach the threshold of the third level. If you encounter those who are weaker, the third level master, even without the sword wave, should be able to barely compete. Jian Wushuang smiled. 4 years ago, he encountered the third level master, and there was no room for confrontation at all. He only had to engage in swordplay. But now, he can at least compete with the general third-level master. Obviously, after the integration of the 4 rules, his strength has been greatly improved. Go on and on. Sword Wushuang continued to rush in the surrounding area immediately. 5 days later, the handsome Emperor Ling Guang, wearing a golden robe, was walking slowly in the void. Suddenly, 2 figures appeared at the very end of his line of sight, rushing towards him at an extremely horrifying speed. Not good. Ling Guang Shenzhen's face changed greatly. Without hesitation, he broke out at his fastest speed, and fled frantically to the side. Ling Guang Lord, stop, I will not embarrass you. A cold voice sounded suddenly. After Ling Guang found that the 2 figures behind him had stopped, he also chose to stop, but still kept a long distance from the other party. If he found something wrong, he could still flee immediately. Qiandao Demon Lord, Blood Rain Demon, are you too? Ling Guang Shenzhen was trembling inside. Regardless of whether it is the Qianblade Demon Lord or the Blood Rain Demon, he can't compete. If both of them shot, they could kill him. Fortunately, the 2 in front of me didn't seem to have any intention to do anything to him. 2 adults, I don't know what I can do with Ling Guang. Ling Guang's stance was extremely low, and his expression was full of awe. Ling Guang God, I ask you, have you ever met the Lord of the Blood Sword when you were scoping in this area? The voice of the Qianblade Lord was low. The Lord of the Blood Sword? When Ling Guang's Lord moved, his heart knew immediately that the Lord of the 1,000 Blades had come to the Lord of the Blood Sword. It is very likely that the 1,000-edged Demon Lord followed the rule of the Blood Sword Master in the hands of the Supreme Sword. 1,000-edged Lord, the Blood Sword Master you said, I did meet, and just 5 days ago, I also played against him. Ling Guang Shenzhen said. 5 days ago. 1,000-blade Demon Lord stunned, but followed with great joy. Ling Guang God, what are you talking about? Ling Guang doesn't dare to deceive you. Lord Ling Guang laughed. 5 days ago, I did play against him, and when I met him, I found that his strength was much better than before. Before that, he could only rely on the swordsmanship of entangled people and the general third. The series dominates the opposition, but when he fought against me, he did not use the entangled swordsmanship, but instead collided directly with me. As a result, I only suppressed him, even if he finally performed my trick, Mist Aura. Although he was crushed, he didn't really hurt him. 1,000 Blades Lord's eyes lit up completely. Ling Guang God, 5 days ago, where did you fight him? Qianblade Lord asked. It's in this direction behind me, about 30 million miles away. Ling Guang Shenzhen said. Is it only 30 million miles? 1,000-blade Demon stared. Ling Guang God, thank you, you can leave. Ling Guang Shenzhen was relieved and immediately swept towards the side of the void. After Ling Guang Shenzhen left. Finally, there is news of the Lord of the Blood Sword. Thousands of Demon Lords screamed with surprise, I have lost track for 4 years in a row. I thought the Lord of the Blood Sword had really left the 9th. It's a dark zone, but now it seems that he has NT left. He just realized it before. I do NT know where the retreat has been for 4 years. Now that his strength has improved a little, he is out. It's only 30 million miles away, and there are only 5 days. He should still be roaming there. We should rush now and we should be able to find him. The Blood Rain Demon also said. The Lord of the Blades nodded. Now that he has determined his approximate location, there is no need to hide and hold it, release the power of the soul directly, and find him at the fastest speed. Chapter 3878. Thirdmore. Although the Qiandao Demon Lord and the Blood Rain Demon had been searching for the sword unparalleled in this area before, they did not use the power of the soul to sweep and investigate. After all, they were also worried that they would fight against the grass and make the swordsman escape. Therefore, in recent years, they have been asking and investigating step by step. Until now, after knowing the approximate position of Jian Wushuang, they directly used the power of the soul. In the Eternal Dark Prison, there is also a lot of restrictions on the spiritual power of the practitioner. Like the sword Wushuang in the Eternal Dark Prison, the power of the soul can only cover a range of 100,000 miles, But this is also because the sword Wushuang is only the master of the rules. He is not yet the master, and the soul's power is naturally not so strong without transformation. And this ninth dark area has the strongest thousand-blade demon lord and blood rain demon. They are both the masters of the third series, the power of the soul sweeping away, enough to permeate the range of 1,000,000 miles. The two of them were filled with the power of the soul, separated from each other by a certain distance, and went all the way in the direction directed by Lingguang God, searching all the way. Within 1,000,000 miles of this area, there is no ruler. I don't have it here either. No. How fast the two men were, it didn't take long for them to search most of the area that Lingguang Shenjun said. Finally, within the soul perception range of the thousand-edged demon lord, there was a breath of rule level lord level. I found it. As soon as the eyes of the thousand-blade demon lighted up, he immediately greeted the blood rain demon. Blood rain, it is up to me to kill the lord of the blood sword. All you have to do is make sure that he cannot escape. Thousand Blades Lord said. Relax, give it to me. Shueyu Dizun smiled lightly. You go alone first, don't rush to hit him, don't scare him immediately, he fled immediately, leave me some time to arrange the array. I know, but you go faster. A thousand-blade demon said something, and immediately his body swept away toward the sword unparalleled. Heh! The Lord of the Blood Sword should have noticed the power of my soul to detect it, but he did not choose to leave the first time, but stood there, as if waiting for me. Haha, it seems that heaven has helped me. The Lord of the Blades Devil was very happy inside. He didn't explode with the fastest speed in the first time, but slowly approached the sword Wushuang. Above the vast void, Zhen Wushuang stood there, and looked extremely calm. He did detect the soul-searching of the Lord of the Thousand Blades, and he was vigilant the first time. After all, he also knows that in the eternal dark prison, among the many prisoners, except for themselves, who dare to release the power of the soul so brazenly, are generally strong men who have absolute confidence in their own strength. Like the third-level masters that Zhen Wushuang encountered in this eternal dark prison before, even the most powerful Gubao King dare not release the power of the soul so brazenly. Who will be the master of this soul power? Zhen Wushuang had a hint of curiosity in his heart, but there was no fear at all. As the opponent gradually approached, a figure soon appeared in Zhen Wushuang's soul perception range. No wonder he dared to use the power of his soul so much. It turned out to be him. Zhen Wushuang smiled. The prisoner information he received from the ancient night demon is very detailed, especially in this ninth dark area. As one of the 5 strongest men in the ninth dark zone, Chendao Demon Lord, he naturally recognized it at a glance. In the information given by the ancient Night Demon King, this Chendao Demon Lord is good at kendo, and the sword skill is very strong. Looking at the current situation, it is obvious that the Chendao Demon Lord came to me deliberately, no accident. It came from my Wu Weeping Sword. Zhen Wushuang smiled slightly. He possesses the rule of Treasure Wu Crying Excalibur, which he did not hide at all. Although the information transmission in this eternal dark prison is very difficult, but after all, it is in the ninth dark zone, and the Thousand Blade Lord is also very informed normal. Knowing that the master of the Thousand Blades had arrived, Zhen Wushuang still did not have the slightest intention to flee and left, but continued to stand there, waiting quietly. In a blink of an eye, the master Chen Chen already appeared in front of Zhen Wushuang. Haha, Your Excellency is the Lord of the Blood Sword? The hearty laughter sounded. After the arrival of the thousand-edged demon lord, he didn't plan to shoot immediately, but greeted Zhen Shuangshuang with enthusiasm. Thousand-edged demon lord, long-awaited name. Zhen Wushuang also laughed. I heard early on that there was a super genius in this ninth dark area, and the master level of the rule realized a trace of the laws of the universe, and the sword skill was even higher. There is no way to even the third-level master to take one. Yes, I see you. The master Chen Chen smiled with enthusiasm. Chendao Demon Lord, I don't know why you are here this time. Zhen Wushuang did not have the time to listen to the boast of the Chendao Demon Lord, but directly asked his intention. It's true, I'm here this time, mainly for the Blood Sword Group's magical sword in your hand. Thousand Blade Demon Lord said positively. Sure enough, it came from the magic sword of law. Zhen Wushuang chuckled. The Lord of the Blood Sword, You also know how dangerous this eternal dark prison is. Although you have some strength, after all, you are only a ruler who possesses rules and treasures. If this matter is strengthened by ulterior motives, the person knows that he will definitely come to kill you at all costs. It can be said that the magic sword of the magic circle in your hand is a fragrant magpie and will attract countless strong men to come. That's it. Jian Wushuang made no comment. But if the rule of the supreme sword is completely different in my hands, my current strength is already the top level in the first layer of this eternal dark prison, and it is worse than those 10 kings, but if I get the rule of the supreme sword, I can match the 10 kings. Then I can become the 11th king. Then the rule of the most sword is in my hands and I dare not it. Snatch. Thousand Blades Lord said again. Well, it's possible. Jian Wushuang nodded again. That being the case, why do NTU, the Lord of the Blood Sword, be the beauty of an adult, and hand me that ruled treasure sword? Of course, I will never treat you badly. I have countless treasures in my hand, except for a few that are of great use to me. Beyond the treasure, you can choose as much as you like. In addition, I can also guarantee that when I become a new queen, I will take up a large territory for you, let you become the lord of that territory, have my protection, and in this eternal dark prison, I will never who can threaten you. Bloodsword Master, what do you think? Chen Blade Demon stared at Jian Wushuang tightly. 3 heads M. Chapter 3879. Fourth more. Treasures in my hand, let me choose. Even if you become a new queen, you will occupy a territory for me and make me a lord. Jian Wushuang showed a playful smile. He looked at the master of the 1,000 blades, but said with a smile, 1,000 blades master, you know that I can't give you that rule of precious sword, and I have tried my best to persuade me. Let me guess, what is your idea? The face of the 1,000-edged demon changed. Suddenly, the surrounding void created an extremely weak wave. This fluctuation, although extremely weak, was immediately noticeable by Jian Wushuang. Matrix. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. No wonder you are a waste of words here with the master of 1,000 blades. It turned out that someone had arranged the matrix in secret. Now, this matrix should be formed. Giggle. Knowing that the formation has been formed, but the Lord of the Bloodsword has no fear at all, this calmness is admirable. A faint coquettish laughter came from the void, a beautiful one with a few the demonized figure slowly appeared in the void. Seeing people, Jian's eyes and pupils could not help shrinking. Blood Rain Demon? The 5th strongest of the 9th Dark Zone, the Qianbiao Demon's attack and kill ability is extremely good. It should be said that it is the strongest attack and kill method. The Blood Rain Demon is good at formation, and her formation is incomparable. Even if the master of the 1,000 blades accidentally falls into it, it will be extremely troublesome. These two people can say that each has their own means, but now they are appearing in front of them at the same time. Blood Rain Demon, are you also interested in the rule of treasure in my hand? Jian Wushuang asked. Who does NT want the rule of treasure? But here is in the eternal dark prison after all, the resources are limited, and the lore of the treasure in your hand does not match the magic soldier I use. I am not very interested in your rule of treasure. But I once owed the favor of the Qianblade Demon Lord. This time the Qianblade Demon asked me to help him to seize the rule of your treasure, and I can't refuse it. Zhu Yuzun laughed. 1,000 blades, the formation method has been arranged, and there is a formation method. Unless he is comparable to the top 10 kings in attack power, otherwise even if the attack power is comparable to you, if you fall into this array, you will not be able to do so in a short time. Leave. Very good. 1,000 Blade Demon Lord was overjoyed, and his eyes turned to Jian Wushuang again. The enthusiastic face had disappeared long ago, replaced by a cold, sharp. I was worried that this kid might escape from me, so I spent so much time talking with him so that you can arrange the formation around. Now the formation is done. This kid can't escape the wings and I don't bother. He talked nonsense to him, shot him directly, and killed him, and that rule of magic sword is mine. 1,000 Blade Lord's voice was indifferent, with an endless killing intention. He slap it, and a purple Excalibur has appeared in his hands. The power of the purple Excalibur is also extremely weak, and it is obviously the strongest magic weapon that reaches the highest level. However, when the sword Wushuang took out the Wu Weeping Excalibur, the faint rule spreads the treasure breath. The light on the surface of the purple Excalibur body immediately dimmed a lot, and the breath was greatly weakened. It's truly a rule of law. Although it hasn't collided directly, just showing up makes my Excalibur less powerful. Thousand Blade Demon sighed, but the desire for Wu Cry Excalibur was growing deeper. Lord of the Blood Sword, die! Thousand Blade Demon Lord has vast demon power rising suddenly, just like a demon from Joyo Hell. His physique was also a whole lot bigger than before, and the terrible magic mighty oppressive sword came from oppression. Jian Wushuang was the first to trigger the combination of the magic light realm and the mysterious realm, trying to suppress the master of the Thousand Blades as much as possible. However, once Chendao Demon Lord is extremely powerful, even if the sword unparalleled field is completely oppressed on him, it can only slightly affect his strength, let alone the Chendao Demon Lord's eternal dark prison for so many years. Or the ninth dark area recognized as the strongest, the domain category in his hands must have some. When I saw the idea of the Thousand Blades Demon, a vast black flame was burning wildly. This black flame field is no weaker than Jian Wushuang's magic light field. Even with the blessing of the Shuangguang realm, Jian Wushuang's field only has a slight upper hand. The Chendao Demon Lord was still so powerful, and in the blink of an eye, he was killed in front of Jian Wushuang. The purple Excalibur in his hand slammed like a purple electric snake across the void, bursting into the throat of Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang flaunted behind his wings, and his figure flew back a few steps in succession, followed by a dive, followed by a high-level wave of the Wu weapon sword in his hand, and directly cut off. The two collided, and a huge force was transmitted directly along Jian Wushuang's arm. The sword's two-sided color sank, and its shape was twisted, which perfectly resolved the impact of this force. The right hand of the Wu weapon sword took advantage. Wave. The strongest swordplay, hazy. Wow. Shocking sword shadow, mighty show. The light of fireflies dare to compete with the sun and the moon. The master of the thousand-edged devil showed no contempt, his body's spirit rolled, and the purple Excalibur in his hand suddenly became larger, just like a who raised the sky and opened a giant sword. This giant sword is indeed capable of breaking new ground. Pang! There was a loud noise, and the sword's double body was shocked, and the whole man flew out like a shell. The terrifying power from the purple Excalibur also acted on his deity. Even with the weakening of the Wujin demon armor on the surface, there were still a lot of impacts on him, causing him some damage. It is indeed the ninth dark area to attack the most powerful thousand-edged demon lord. Before I fought against that Lingguang God King, I also used hazy sword skills to resist his strongest trick, Wu Ji Shengguang, although the sword skills were defeated, but the misty aura did not hurt me, but now the swordsmanship of the thousand-edged demon really hurt me. And this sword just now is by no means the strongest trick of the thousand-edged demon lord. Jian Wushuang marveled. It is also the master of the third level. The Lingguang God is enough to rank in the top 50 in this ninth dark area, but compared with the 1000 of the 5 strongest one, the gap is still too big. www.mtl Novelle. In the face of Lingguang Shenjun, Jian Wushuang can completely try to compete positively. But in the face of the master of the thousand blades, it is obviously impossible for him to compete directly. Thousand-edged lord, try my sword again. Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Wow, the void in front of him seemed to be plunged into a continuous sea, and countless waves of layers spread endlessly. The skies soared like ocean, surging and surging, completely covered the Chendao demon lord ahead. End of this chapter. Chapter 3880. Fifth More. Sword Art. One of the 3 strongest swordsmanships of Jian Wushuang, used to entangle the enemy's swordsmanship. After the sword unparalleled fusion of the 4-door rules, this sword skill has greatly improved in both power and resilience. Now this sword skill is perfectly demonstrated from the sword without hands. The mighty sword-like waves, endless, rushed towards the Lord of the Thousand Blades. The Chendao Demon Lord is a strong swordsman in his own right. He is now standing at the center of Genny Ocean and can clearly sense the endless mood in Genny Ocean. It's a very powerful artistic conception, and this sword art is also quite useful. If you can't completely disintegrate this sword art in one breath, I'm afraid this endless wave will be endless. The Chen Blade Lord's eyes were cold, and the next moment he raised his hand, the purple Excalibur, a purple swordmang, like a purple thunder that fell from the sky, cut off fiercely in front of the sword in front of the ocean. Wow! Under the sweep of purple thunderbolt, the sword-like ocean ahead immediately began to retreat and collapse at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, the entire Genny Ocean collapsed by nearly 90%, but the power of the purple thunderbolt was also completely exhausted and dissipated in the heavens and the earth. What? There was a hint of surprise in the Thousand Blades Lord's head, but he immediately restored peace. This kid, no wonder he can use this trick to make many third-level masters do nothing. The toughness of this sword is stronger than expected. Even if I try my best, I can't completely use this sword. Destroyed, the Gubao King's attack and killing ability is far worse than mine. His strongest blow, I am afraid that at most he can only wipe out the sword art by 60% to 70%, but in a blink of an eye, this sword art mood can be fully restored. Thousand Blade Demon Lords have seen that the surrounding sword-shaped ocean that has collapsed by nearly 90%, within a short period of time, has restored its former appearance. It was still mighty, and endless waves continued to flow towards him. It seems that I want to kill this kid, but I really have to take some measures to do it. The sharp blade flashed in the master's eyes. Fun Tian Jian, hum. The meaning of killing instantly filled the whole world. The surrounding space, in the sense of this killing, began to tremble. Even Jian Shuang couldn't help but raise his head. Wow! A ruthless sword was cut off mercilessly. This swordmang, bright and dazzling, is full of terrible fronts that kill the world. In a blink of an eye, the swordman's arm was already split on the sword-shaped ocean directly in front of it. The sky-filled and extremely tough sword-shaped ocean melted directly under the sweep of the sword light. In a short time, the entire sword of the sea was melted more than 90%, and there is still a lot of power in that sword. Finally, the huge ocean of swords was completely dissipated, and the sword style of Wushuang also completely collapsed. My wave lightsaber was defeated by the front. Jian was eyes synced slightly. Wave lightsaber, after he integrated the 4 rules, has been improved to a certain extent, much tougher than before. However, the Chendao Demon Lord is still a sword to completely defeat his sword skill, but I can imagine how powerful the sword of the Chendao Demon Lord just was. It is indeed the 9th dark area to attack and kill first. Jian Wushuang smiled lightly, but still relaxed. Such a relaxed look was naturally seen by the Thousand-Blade Demon Lord and the Bloody Rain Demon next to the void. This boy, his proud swordsmanship has been defeated by a sword in front of me. What else can't be done? Chendao Demon frowned. Thousand-Blade Demon Lord. Sword Wushuang said, I have created 3 of the strongest swordsmanship in the Eternal Dark Prison for so many years. The one that I chose to bump up against you is the swordsmanship of the main attack. Obviously the power nowhere near you. The wave of swordplay that I just cast is a swordplay used to entangle the enemy. It was also directly broken by your sword. But next, I will perform the last one of the 3 swords I created. This sword is called Earthguard. It is mainly used to defend the body, but I do know if you can use my sword. Break open. Jian Wushuang chuckled and waved with his right hand, driving the endless sword intention to sweep away. Buzzing. A large number of earth-colored earth rules swept up. In addition to the earth rules, the other 3 major rules also poured into the sword. A heavy and major sword area was formed, and in the blink of an eye, in front of Jian Wushuang, a full 51 major sword areas were condensed. 51 is headed by the rules of the earth, which contains the earth sword area full of the power of the 4 rules. This is Jian Wushuang's strongest body protection sword skill. Lord of the Blades, come and try it. With a smile on his face, Jian Wushuang has absolute confidence in his sword guarding the earth. What kind of body protection sword art, in front of absolute strength, by any means, is futile. See me break your body protection sword art. Thousand-blade demon Lord Lunghung, purple sword in his hand raised again. That terrifying killing is flooding the world again. Fun Tian Jian, thousand-blade demon shot, and the one that was cast was the sword that had just defeated the wave of swordplay. That dazzling, with a sword of endless killing. I saw that the world's swordmang was cut out mercilessly, and immediately split on the ground guarding the sword area in front of the swordless double-sided. In just one moment, most of the 51 major land sword areas collapsed, but the remaining land sword areas were still indestructible. The speed of the worldwide Genmang gradually became slow, and in the end, the power was completely exhausted and completely dissipated, but the sword area of the earth before the sword had no double sides was still full. 51 heavy earth sword area of far higher quality than before, even you fortified the 42 heavy at once. Thousand-edged lord, your power of swordsmanship, indeed. Jian Wushuang laugh at will, and in the blink of an eye, the 51 major sword domains are restored again. But the look of the thousand blades lord was a little gloomy. He actually blocked my penalty sword. And 51 heavy sword domains, there are 9 remaining, obviously his swordsmanship ability is far from reaching the limit. Thousand blades, it seems that you underestimated the lord of the blood sword. The playful voice of Blood Rain Demon also sounded at this moment. I wasn't surprised. The Lord of the Blood Sword, the ruler of the rules, and the rule of treasure, has been living in the eternal dark prison. How can there be no means of life-saving? Now it seems that he is the strongest. The means of life-saving should be this body protection swordsmanship, and even my penalty sky sword can be blocked by the front, which is really powerful. Qianblade Demon said lowly. He also recognized the power of Jian Wushuang's body protection sword skill, but it was not impossible. End of this chapter. Chapter 3881. 6 more arrived today. I have spent hundreds of chaotic times in the eternal dark prison. I created 2 swords of punishment and blood. Based on these 2 swords, I killed prisoners in the hundreds of chaos, even the 3rd level. I have killed many prisoners. The whole eternal dark prison, I am not afraid of anyone except the supreme 10 kings, the Lord of the Blood Sword and the Lord of the Rules. How can I stump me? The thousand-edged demon lord's eyes were cold. On mighty power, my blood sky sword is nearly twice as strong as the punishment Tian Jian. You can't kill him if you don't believe me. Boom. The monstrous magical powers twitched frantically. Thousand-blade lord's eyes became scarlet, and at the same time the whole body surface showed a hint of dark red. This dark red is like the color of blood. Blood stained the heavens. This is the strongest sword skill created by the thousand-edged demon lord, the blood sky sword. Dead. The thousand-edged demon snorted loudly, hysterically. The purple Excalibur in his hand trembled violently, and at this moment it was completely red. Wow. This is a thrilling blood-colored swordman. This blood-colored swordman was cold and dark, with a sense of unprecedented killing, and it appeared in front of Jian Wushuang in an instant. Jian's eyes also sink slightly. Are you stronger swordsmanship? I don't know if my Earthguard swordsmanship can resist this sword. There is also a glimmer of expectation in the sword without eyes. Peng. The blood-colored swordman slashed directly on the land of the sword of the earth, and an instant of terrifying power and a terrible cutting force burst out. The surface of the 51 major sword area permeated by the sword-free body was smashed 40 times in the blink of an eye, followed by the collapse of the major sword area. 47th, 48. In the end, this blood-colored Genmang directly broke the 49th major sword area of the swordless body surface, but was resisted by the 50th major sword area. The Qiandao Demon Lord is the strongest sword and stops at the 50th. Unexpectedly, it didn't break. This time, the master of the 1,000 blades was really shocked. He has absolute confidence in his ability to attack and kill. The strongest sword skill Blood Sky Sword he casts with all his strength, purely on the power. I am afraid that he is almost approaching the 10 most powerful kings. Except for the top 10 strongest kings, there are not a few third-level masters in the first level of the Eternal Dark Prison, which can surpass him in pure power. But in the end, the strongest swordplay that he is most proud of, has not been able to break the bodyguard swordplay of the ruler in front of him. Giggle, it's interesting now. The blood rain demon, who had been watching the battle in the void, looked at it with a strange light. Thousand Blade Masters, it seems that your strongest swordsmanship is just that. Jian Wushuang smiled lightly, and in the bottom of his heart, he was very satisfied with the defensibility of the Earthguard swordsmanship. The strongest swordsmanship of the thousand-edged demon lord, the power has definitely reached the level of the third-level higher master. In this eternal dark prison, I am afraid that the 10 kings can beat him in the power of attack, yes, but his sword, but still could not completely break my guardian sword of the earth. Jian Wushuang smiled gently. He had previously guessed that after integrating the 4 rules, the Earthguard swordsmanship, which was re-improved mainly by the earth, should be very arrogant in terms of body protection. Now it seems that it is. Blood Rain, this boy's body swordsmanship is quite good. I want to kill him, very difficult. I'm afraid you have to help. Chen Blade Demon chanted. Thousand Blades, when you asked me to shoot before, you can say, as long as I arrange the formation to prevent him from escaping. As for killing him, it is up to you to do it yourself, but you didn't say you wanted me to kill him. Shueyu Mozan smiled with amusement. I didn't expect this boy's body sword art would be so good at the time. Thousand-edged demon lord looked gloomy. Blood Rain, help me, what benefits do you want? Blood Rain demon will help the thousand-blade demon lord this time, but he has owed so much to him. But before the Blade demon lord went to invite the Blood Rain demon, he said that this kind of humanity can only be exchanged for the Blood Rain demon to arrange the array method to prevent the sword unparalleled. As for the Blood Rain demons to take the shot himself, Blade demon lord did not say that this is naturally beyond the scope of that human relationship. The Blood Rain demon has no good friendship with the thousand-edged demon lord. Seeing the situation in front of him, Blood Rain demon directly puts forward the conditions. The 5 best treasures at the highest level, I can help you. Thousand Blade Lord frowns suddenly. The strongest treasure is common in Eternal Dark Prison, and it's easy to get. You can get many of these strongest treasures by simply killing a second-level master. But the strongest treasure of the highest level, there are fewer. Under normal circumstances, a third-level master, only a few hands will have 1 or 2 pieces of the highest level of the highest treasure. However, there is a third level dominated by the most powerful arcane treasure at hand. It is generally extremely difficult to kill, so the Master of the Thousand Blades is one of the 5 strongest in the 9th dark area, but the best level in your hand is the strongest treasure, and the number is not too much. The Blood Rain demon statue needs 5 at a time, which is really not a small number. However, the thought of the magic sword in the hands without the sword, the Master of the Thousand Blades gritted his teeth and directly agreed, yes, the 5 most precious Arctic treasures, I will give you afterwards. That's not okay, after all, what you are good at is kendo. Once you kill the Lord of the Blood Sword, you get the rule of the Lord of the Blood Sword. The strength is soaring. I'm afraid I can only escape my life before you. Now, if you do want to give it back afterwards, I do have any way, so you first give me the 5 best treasures of the highest level, and I will take another shot. This should be more secure. Dao demon gritted his teeth, but still focused. Yes, the strongest 5 treasures, I will give you now. Having said that, the Master of the 1000 Blades waved his hand directly and threw a Chenkuan ring towards the Blood Rain demon. After the Blood Rain demon took over, his consciousness swept away, and he smiled and nodded, but then said, Chen Blade, I have to make it clear. Although I promised to take the shot, I will do my best, but if I still see kill the blood afterwards Lord of the Sword, then you can't blame me. Of course, you only need to do your best. Thousand-edged demon said. After the two had reached an agreement, the Blood Rain demon statue only slowly came towards the sword Wushuang. From the beginning to the end, listening to the conversation between the 2 men, Jian Wushuang's look has been very flat, and did not mean to interrupt the two. Chapter 3882. The first is more. Why, Blood Rain demon, also intends to fail? Jian Wushuang looked indifferently at the Blood Rain demon who was coming. In terms of strength, the Blood Rain demon is equal to the Thousand Blade demon lord, but the areas they are good at are completely different. Blood Rain Demon is best at matrix formation, followed by soul. Her mastery of the soul is extremely high, and the soul attack is extremely terrible. This is why the thousand-edged demon lord spent 5 pieces of the best treasure of the highest level. Blood Rain, the lord of the blood sword, is against the sky, and it is only the lord of the rules. His soul must not be strong. Using your accomplishments in the soul to directly perform a soul attack, it should be easy to kill him. As long as the soul is annihilated, no matter how strong his body protection ability is. Qianbian Demon said. Blood Rain Demon's gaze with evil charms solidified on Jian Wushuang's body. The lord of the blood sword, you are an out-of-the-box genius. Your talent is enough to amaze me, but unfortunately here is in eternal darkness in prison. If you want to survive here, it's useless to rely on talents, so I can only sorry for you. Blood Rain Demon's voice was soft and pitiful, but while she was talking, she already had a faint strange light flashing in her eyes. Fall down. As soon as the voice fell, a majestic force of soul immediately came to cover the sword. Jian Wushuang could not escape at all, and the power of the soul entered his sea of knowledge, destroying his deadly desire to destroy his soul. The power of this soul is too huge and overbearing. After all, it is the 3rd level of the soul attack, but Jian Wushuang is only the ruler of the rule. The soul has not been transformed. In the face of this level of soul attack, he has no room to struggle. In a blink of an eye, the soul annihilates. Dead. Xueyu Mozhen smiled. It is indeed a blood rain. In addition to the formation method, your soul attack is also a must in this eternal dark prison. Thousand Blade Master surprised. Don't brag about me, my soul attack is not very strong, but the soul of the Lord of the Blood Sword is too weak. Xueyu Dizun laughed. Once 1,000 blades, the Lord of the Blood Sword is dead. Hurry up and get your rule. The master of the 1,000 blades could not wait any longer, and he immediately planned to make thousands. Suddenly the Sword Lord, whose soul had been annihilated, suddenly opened his eyes again, and there was a hint of slyness in his eyes. When he saw the 1,000-edged demon lord coming, he grinned and showed a strange smile. What? 1,000 blades lord's figure paused immediately. How is that possible? Blood Rain Demon was also surprised. Both of them could see clearly just now that the soul of the Lord of the Blood Swords had indeed been completely annihilated, but now. Impossible, your soul has been completely annihilated by me, how could it not die? The Blood Rain Demon's face was incredible. The soul will die when it is annihilated. Blood Rain Demon, you may be too arbitrary. Besides, if you look at it now, is my soul already annihilated? Jian Wushuang smiled and immediately swept away with a soul. However, although the power of this soul is relatively weak compared to the Qianblade Demon Lord and the Blood Rain Demon, it is indeed the soul power of Jian Wushuang. How can this be? Thousand Blade Demon Lord widened his eyes. Is that the legend? Xueyu Mozhen suddenly thought of a possibility. Legend? The Lord of the 1,000 Blades looked at it immediately. In the legend, there are many special lives born in the vast universe. Among them, there is a special life that reaches a perfect level. Its soul has been integrated into every part of the body's divine power. It is said to be immortal. Even if the soul is annihilated, it can consume some divine power, instant recovery. Xueyu Mozhen trembled. Perfect life. Thousand Blade Lord also stared at Jian Wushuang. Perfect life in the legend requires the accumulation of a long time in the entire vast universe to be able to give birth to one, right? Probably, a little bit more universe than the ruler. The super genius that is rare in the billions of stars is still rare. The Lord of the Blood Sword is a practitioner of perfect life level. Although I do not want to admit it, it seems that there is only this kind of explanation. The Blood Rain Demon looks very dignified. The Lord of the Blood Sword not only understands a little of the law of the universe at the level of the Master of the Rule, is the kind of super genius that is rare in billions of stars. At the same time, he is a more perfect life-level cultivator than this kind of genius. The combination of the two can definitely be regarded as the most anti-super superhero in the vast universe. Genius. 1,000 Blades, the Lord of the Blood Sword is a practitioner of perfect life level. If you want to kill him to win the treasure, I'm afraid it will be difficult. Why? Even if he is a perfect life, the soul annihilation can be restored by divine power, but every time he restores the soul, he should lose a lot of divine power. He is now trapped here by us and can't escape at all as long as you perform the soul attack time and time again, and continue to consume his divine power. His divine power will be exhausted sooner or later, and then it will be the same death. Chenblade Lord said coldly. Hearing this, Zuyuzun smiled coldly. Thousand Blades, are you afraid that you don't know enough about the perfect level of life? I tell you, the reason why the perfect level of life is so bad, except for this life, in addition to the innate advantage of Mo Tian, he has the vast divine power. Don't look at him as a ruler, but his divine power is definitely dozens or even hundreds of times greater than our master's. Yes, if I perform a soul attack time and time again, I can indeed force him to spend his divine power and perform soul repair again and again, but each time he repairs his divine power, it is very rare. His divine power can completely support him for thousands of times. Soul repair, even nearly 10,000 times, but what about me? When you perform a soul attack every time, you do need to consume the soul? Take the power of my soul compared to the power of the Lord of the Bloodsword, you want it. Thousand Blade Demon Master stunned. Yes, Blood Rain Demon casts his soul to attack the soul of the Annihilation Sword Wushuang, although he can force Jian Wushuang to spend divine power to repair the divine power again and again. But by the same token, the Blood Rain Demon respects his own soul's power consumption, and with his current soul strength, he can perform a one-time annihilation of the sword Wushuang soul's soul attack, which can only be performed at most dozens of times. It will consume most of it, and the sword's magic power is probably not consumed at all. I can't kill him simply by attacking my soul. Blood Rain Demon said in a deep voice. Chapter 382, Helplessness, page 11, bookmark for easy reading. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.